Welcome to the Bouquet Toss, the podcast that helps you plan your wedding day your way. We're your hosts, Sari
and Jessica, and in each episode, we talk with special guests, including wedding professionals, recent brides, and friends, to discuss what to keep and what to toss from your wedding day plans.
This is a Love Stories TV podcast.
And today we're joined by Rev Roxy.
Yes, this episode is all about the wedding ceremony, which I think, and Jess does too, that it's probably the most important part of the whole thing. And who you have presiding over the ceremony is very important. So we're going to talk to a professional wedding officiant. Hi, Roxy. How are you? Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Awesome. Well, before we jump into everything, I want to start by asking you a few questions about your wedding, if that's okay.
Yeah, ask away.
Oh my gosh. So when did you get married?
So I got married in 2012. I honestly went to basic training. It's a little bit of a crazy story. So I went to basic training for the Army.
Okay.
But right before that, I was actually like on season 25 of Survivor.
Really?
So, yeah.
How did we not know this?
Right.
Well, you know now, and it was a total bet that I was on the show, but it was like really weird. I went and secretly like filmed the show, and then I couldn't tell anybody.
Right.
Wow.
Then I went from there to like basic training in the Army.
Wow.
Yeah. Then I met my husband at basic training, and then 3 weeks after meeting him for the first time ever, perfect stranger at training, we got married on our lunch break.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's my story.
When you know, you know.
I guess so. We're going on 12 years, so I'm very excited. Yeah.
Wait. Okay, I have so many more questions.
Yeah.
How at what point in those 3 weeks did you say, this man's the one? How did you know? And then how long between that and like getting married? I mean, that's a very accelerated timeline.
I know. Basic training in the military, for anybody who's gone through any of them, for any branch, is a very unique situation. I mean, you're literally with people like Siamese twins.
Wow.
So he was in the lineup, they line you up, and then they assign you battle buddies. He was literally right next to me in line.
Wow.
So, you know,
He's your battle buddy.
And you can't go anywhere. And you can't go anywhere. So it was almost like there's no more of a speedier dating process than that, because you know everything about that person. Literally, you know if they have any diseases. I mean, if I went to a bar and met someone, I don't really know if you have diseases.
That's
right?
a valid point.
I know you have good credit, right? Because literally, you got to go through all these things to get to the training. So
Fair.
it was really weird, but I think we had spent so much time there. And also, like, I was single, he was single, and it was like, I really like you. And I'm not a dating person. I don't love it. I love people who are dating coaches because I'm like, how do you do that? It's very weird, right? Because I'm into love, but I'm like more about like the marriage and like that life than I am about like the dating part. I hate dating. I
Is
hate
it
that.
common for people to get married quickly in training?
I think, well, yes, absolutely. Military people are known to get married, but most people roll their eyes at military marriages because they're like, you're not even going to last a year. This was totally one of those, you know, usually people are really young.
Sure.
I just think the fact that we were both chaplains, which we come from a religious background, that plays a role in it, right? Because people don't like dating as religious people. Like, they're just like, you're dating? What are we doing here? Like, you know, that pressure is kind of there. And then even when you are dating, you're very limited, right? Like, all of our first dates, quote unquote, that we had to have someone else around because we were in a training environment and we weren't allowed, like, guys and girls aren't allowed to be alone. It's very complicated. So it was a very awkward situation, but I think because it was so intense, real life isn't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you obviously knew that you had a lot of shared values and like that foundation, right?
Yes.
And then the teamwork aspect of being in the military together, like, I mean.
Yeah, it was kind of like all the things.
Yeah.
So him and I are actually in the process of creating a couples retreat, and it's funny because we're just like, we know what to do. We know what to do to make your marriage stronger.
So you will be going through training at a couples retreat.
a bit of a training.
You're going to put them through boot camp?
Yeah, our boot camp.
Wait,
Yeah.
but can it be called battle buddies?
You're right.
Oh, I'm gonna write that one down.
I'm
mean-
like, that's the new, like, he's your lobster.
Right.
Oh, I
He's
love
your battle
it.
buddy.
I love that. Yes.
I love it.
You just
gotta
gave me a
get
great
t-shirt,
idea.
like
Yeah,
merch, like all of it.
Yeah,
Done.
all of it. I love
yes.
it.
Oh my
I
gosh.
love it.
Okay, so you got married on your lunch break.
Yeah.
So if you had to describe your wedding using only emojis, can you pick 5 emojis to describe your wedding?
Well, we did have an actual wedding like less than a year later
Okay.
for our family. I like
And
to
that
say
counts
it's-
too.
That does count.
Yeah.
Well, you can do for that one if you'd prefer.
I'll do for that one, I guess. That one, I would say emojis. The yacht emoji, because it was on water.
Nice.
Did you know, a fun fact, it's cheaper in Manhattan to get married on water than land?
Oh, that's a savvy
So
tip.
if
Thank
you
you.
really want Manhattan, do water because
Okay.
it's going
Love
to be
that.
less expensive.
Okay.
The emoji with the crashing wave, like the
Yes.
wave, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Taxi cab emoji.
Yes.
New York.
Because I was like into Sex in the City then, so it was
Yes.
all about Manhattan, everything.
Your taxi cab yellow today.
Thank
It's
you,
very
thank
cute.
you. The Statue of Liberty
Yes.
emoji. How many were? That's like 3 or 4.
That's 4. And like
Okay.
a lunchbox.
A
could be
lunchbox.
5.
Definitely have to remember where it all started.
Right? Remember your
which is-
roots.
Yeah.
I love it.
How do you even get a marriage certificate?
Yeah.
Okay.
in that time?
So we had 60 minutes. And so really you only have 40 minutes because in the military you have to be early to be on time, right? Like for real, you
Mm.
can't be late. And so we left. We borrowed someone's car because neither of us had a car because we weren't from South Carolina. We borrowed someone's car. We went down to the courthouse. We got the paper. And even though we were surrounded by other like ministers in training, we didn't want anyone to know. So the only thing we had was to have like a what do you call those people that also officiate weddings, but they're not religious?
Justice of the peace?
No.
Oh.
A notary.
Notary.
And we went
Yeah,
down to
a notary public. Yeah.
Kinko's, back when Kinko's exist. We went to Kinko's and it was this
Oh my
lady that like didn't even have teeth in her mouth. That was like, she just stamped it. Her name is on our marriage certificate forever. And it's funny that I do this for a living.
Yeah.
She stamped it and she was like, I hope you guys love each other because now it's official. There was no ceremony. No one did anything formal. It was that. She was like,
Wow. Okay.
So did
Peace.
that experience make you want to officiate weddings? Like, how did we get from that
Yeah.
to now you are a
Yeah.
wedding officiant yourself?
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I went to seminary school. I'm a chaplain. Like, doing ceremony, especially being a part of the military, is what we do. Like, we have a ceremony for everything. You're going to button your shirt. We have a ceremony. Like, I've done funerals. I've, spoke in front of colonels. Like, it's just what we do. But I did my sister's wedding. That was the first wedding I ever did. And that was back in
Aw.
2016, I think. And it was a hit. It was, published in a blog. Everyone just started asking me. A lot of people started asking me to officiate. And I was like, wait, this is a thing? People ask people they don't really know to officiate? Okay, so now I'm going to create a process so I can get to know them because that's going to make it better. That's why
Yeah.
it was easy to do it for my sister because I know my sister. We've played house before. We played getting married before.
Yeah.
And so it was such a nostalgic moment to watch my own sister walk down the,
Mm.
I want to try to recreate that experience over and over again with couples
Mhm.
Yeah.
who I don't know. I want to take the most perfect stranger and make them mine or my friend or my whatever so I can create this magical moment for them. And because I had pretty much gotten married to a stranger, I had the ability. I was like, so if I can find a stranger to get married to, I can be your friend, get to know you,
Yeah.
and write a ceremony of your dreams, and your friends and family will believe I've known you all your life.
I'm obsessed. I mean, it's so timely because we've also recorded 2 other episodes actually with Jen Glantz, who's bridesmaid for hire. And she explained the exact same thing, that there's this level of just getting to know so intimately somebody who becomes your client for a wedding. And I think that is so real. I think that unlike other things, unlike maybe like a graduation dinner you're going to throw or like someone's 50th birthday, like for a wedding, people really, I think vendors in general are like really in tune to how like special and sentimental it is. And you do really get to know people. Like I definitely said to my photographer when she was leaving, like, I'm unhealthily obsessed with you and I want to be your friend. Like, you know what I mean?
It's not uncommon
It's-
to become friends with
Yeah.
some of your vendors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that that's such an important thing. Also, I love that it started from you doing your sister's wedding.
Mhm.
I just got married in March and my brother-in-law was our officiant. And this is something my husband and I knew before we got engaged. We were
Mm.
like, we had been to a wedding where somebody's friend did it and we were like, oh my God, we love that it was so personal. We love like how well put together it was. And I was like, I actually have the perfect person. And he was like, Oh my God, yes. And I think it is a different thing. Like if you have people in your life that are comfortable public speaking, right? that are
That's
comfortable
Mhm.
in front of an audience that are, you do need that. And I think not everybody has that, which
Mhm.
is why it's amazing that they can have someone like you who can kind of like work themselves into that close position, but you
Yeah.
have like the pizzazz and the poise and everything that you need. I mean, he even said after our wedding, he got like 2 different people asking
Hey.
if he could do theirs.
That's how it starts.
Right.
Now he's
That's
got a
how it
side hustle.
starts.
He's got a side hustle, right?
There you go.
I mean, literally, people asked him right after. And so I think, like, there's just something that's, like, kind of so intimate about the person that's going to marry you. And I think, like, you kind of brought that whole all to life to me with that first example. Like, in that first iteration, this woman that you didn't know in Kinko's signed it and you were married,
Yeah.
right? Like, she stamped it, you were married. And I think we've all completely, like, created a fairy tale of, like, what it is to get married. Like, it's this amazing, like, and yes, it is amazing, like, being married. But the actual process of doing it is like a check in the box for somebody, right? Like
True.
we were even shocked. We did the ceremony and then we like all went upstairs to have witnesses to sign it. And we
The
didn't
marriage
even
license?
the marriage license. We didn't even need to do that. Like in the state of Pennsylvania, you didn't need
Pennsylvania,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, she's
Every
like Pennsylvania is not-
every state is very different.
It's completely
like,
different.
Yeah, like New Jersey, you can't get married by accident. You have to do a whole lot of signing. It is not Vegas, for sure.
Right.
But then Vegas is like, Elvis shows up and you're good.
that. Yeah.
That's it.
Which is such a wild thing to think about. It is such a life-altering thing. And it's actually not even that difficult in some places to do. And so I also think when you learn that it's kind of devoid of a lot of that sentiment, like especially if you're just doing it in the courthouse or something, which is a great thing, not anything against that, but like you kind of lose a little bit of the fairy tale magic when it's like very, very focused on the legal aspect of it, which a wedding is, and we cannot get rid of that.
Of course.
But I think when you realize that that's the case, it does, at least for me, I wanted to find that extra like sentiment, the extra emotion, that extra thing, that extra layer of it that could make it feel even more like much more of a weight that we were like saying I do, that we were doing the thing. Does that make sense?
So many, I call it chasing the magic, right?
Yeah.
So I've had a wedding celebration 3 times, technically. I got eloped that first time. Whatever we think about it is what it is, right? That was something. That moment will stay in my mind forever. 2, I had this whole obsession with Sex and the City, and I wanted a New York City wedding, and I rode off in a yellow taxi cab. Like, I had all the points to remember it as it was. Played Frank Sinatra. Like, I really wanted this very specific experience. Yeah. And then I had a vow renewal at 10 years at Walt Disney World.
Oh, so speaking of magic.
Chasing the magic. Like, I found myself in a place where it's like, I'm going to keep celebrating my marriage, especially since I married a stranger and no one thought we would last this long.
Yeah.
So every year we last, it's like a laugh for us. We're like, oh my God, we're still together. Can you believe it? And we're happy.
Yeah,
so like,
amazing.
So I've had these 3 separate situations, and honestly, all of them were magical. Like, even the weird woman that I never will see again ever, that's name is forever on my marriage license, that means nothing to me and did nothing to make my day special, is a part of that.
Yeah.
And as nothing as it was something. That date is something, that moment is something. I will never forget, we were both dressed like little G.I. Joes. Like, it was just so opposite of anything I deal with in today's time. So it's like all of these things are celebrations in some way. We could have gone to Dunkin' and gotten a donut after that, and that's the wedding cake.
The wedding cake.
It could be so simple, yet so over the top, and yet and still magic is there as long as there's love.
And it's all still a wedding.
All of it's still a wedding. I call it that, no matter what.
Yeah. You always say, as long as you get married at the end of the day, that's
It's a
it. Like,
success.
as long
That
as you
was
were
the
actually
whole
married.
point. That's
Yeah.
the whole point at the end of the day.
So
Yeah.
I'm sure there are things that you can look back on all those experiences and remember, but the Manhattan wedding, the New York City wedding, like, what would you say, for couples who are in the throes of planning now and stressing over like the aspects of their wedding that they're focused on? Like, what do you remember looking back on your wedding from 11 years ago or whatever?
Yeah, so it's sort of like you have this Pinterest board that you can can create for each one. It's like the emoji game, right? It's like there's not all the details you remember because your wedding did just go so fast. And like literally you're like, I've just been planning this thing forever and it's done. Did you have fun? Did you eat anything? Like, I don't remember anything. I usually never eat. I'm not even kidding. This is why I hate making menus because I'm like, I know I'm not going to eat. I'm going to be stressed out by the like adrenaline of like, getting through that day. But the New York City one was a stormy day. Oh. And by the way, it was recorded on the TV show Bridezilla. Like there was always a TV show in my life. Always. They recorded it because I had just gotten off the whole Survivor thing, which was a secret. And then it wasn't a secret by the time we had a wedding, right? So they recorded that. And so there was some like little drama things that were, well, probably not little, but like drama things that were going on. But that's not even the thing that I remember because it's forever on TV to remember.
We're going to have to go find this in the archives somewhere.
But it's more so the fact that we were in different phases of our lives.
Yes.
So we were students when we got married, technically, right? We were both seminarians. And then when we actually got married, we both had those like first jobs out of college where you don't have much money, but we're paying for our own wedding. Like this is not back in the day. People's parents don't necessarily pay for their weddings, right? So I remember making $15 an hour trying to figure out how to pay these thousands of dollars.
Yes.
And like saving up, checking your savings, seeing how you can make this work. How do you make your Sex and the City dream come true on a $15 an hour job in New York City?
Yeah.
That's what I remember the most is the energy I put into it. And that I just really wanted it to be something special and be what I've always dreamed of. And then we come to the Disney World wedding where we're still not rich, but we're definitely not as poor as before. Yeah. So like now we can make some better choices. But the whole thing was just having him and I, like we had a magical moment of him and I in front of Cinderella Castle. Like not even our guests, not even our kids. I had just given birth 2 months prior to that 10-year vow renewal. And it was just me wearing white and him wearing a beautiful suit in front of Cinderella's castle. And I'm like, we've been married 10 years. I did not know you. This could have gone wrong. You could have been a mass murderer. And I had no idea. You could have been a lot of things. And you're not those things, I don't think, because even though, it's been 10 years, then you'd be a damn good actor. You know what I mean? But that was magical.
Yeah.
Like I'm so used to celebrating, I think, like new love. Like people, like new love in the sense of like they're now getting married, newlyweds. But like, celebrate 10 years, celebrate 20, celebrate 25, 30. It's not the same. It's not just redoing your wedding. It's you guys are different at that point in time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think so many things. Oh, so many things I want to say. The act of a vow renewal has been something that I've never really taken enough time to think about because when you just said that, it really clicked for me because I do believe that people change all the time. I do believe that the person you are now is not the person you will be 10 years from now. And so the act of actually saying, I am still choosing you every single day. I'm still all the vows, or maybe I have different vows now, right? Not just renewing it, but like stating different things that I'm going to promise to do.
Updating and upgrading.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's so important to be like the health of your relationship, to be able to like recommit to that, not to just say, well, it's status quo because we got married 10 years ago. That to me shows that like you're still doing the work every day. And like whether it's because you're like, oh, well, maybe he is still, I don't know. Like, I think it's so funny how you talk about it too. Because it's like other people will probably be like, yeah, you realize he could have been a killer. And you're like, yeah, I know. Like, thank God he wasn't. But yeah, I'm aware. But I think that that's so funny. Like, yeah, I think you are constantly going to be learning new things about each other. And
especially when you barely know each other.
Right.
Yeah. But even
the whole marriage.
Yeah. I mean, that's what a way to be learning about somebody, right? To have that. But in some ways, I'm sure that that's a strength that was there for you because you got to learn about these things with like the security of knowing that like
you're committed.
You were committed. You were,
no assumptions can be made.
Yeah.
Like, what is your favorite color? You know what I mean? I'm like, I know your last name because of the military, but what is your favorite color? Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So like, it's, you know what? The next 2 celebrations I have coming up are both vow renewals. Like one is still less than 10, I think it's like maybe 8 years, and the other is 20. And they're going big. I mean, they're all out of the country situations. And so people are getting serious about it because listen, we can sit here and assume that because people last 10 years being married on paper, that they still love each other. But I know, as also a marriage counselor, that that's not true at all.
So true.
At all. So, yeah. So I though I love fairy tale weddings, I also am really grounded in reality.
I love
Yeah.
that.
About
You
love.
have to be.
Yeah.
I love it. I feel like I've said this 800 times, but like it was best day of my life, my wedding. I got married in March, and we had people saying to us, like even my sister was like, let's do it again. Like it was just so fun. And like the reality of that, we're not recreating this. We don't have the money, right? But
Can't do it every year.
Not free.
right. But to think about like in 10 years, if we could like do something like this again, obviously not like in the exact same way, but like who knows financially where we'll be in 10 years. And to not just be able to do it for us, but like include all the people that we love in like, because weddings are like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Like truly. And why not have more than one? It also takes the pressure off from like that first one that you're doing. You don't have to feel quite like everything has to go right. I have to pick a dress that I'm going to look back on 20 years from now and say, that was my favorite
You're never
dress
gonna
in the
think
world.
that. Fashion
Never.
changes so much. I don't care what anyone says. Oh, I love it. I'm like,
10 weeks later, you can feel differently. I mean, that's
Right.
why so many people like get a dress and then right before their wedding, they have dress regret and they get a new one.
Yes.
Like,
it is
my
so
God.
common.
It's so common.
yikes.
And like, that I think also it gives you the chance to not be so precious about it the first time. And then you could be like, well, for my, anniversary, I'll do, or my vow renewal. And like, for me, I loved my dress so much and I'm devastated that I don't have an excuse to wear it again. Maybe I alter it.
Yes.
I mean, my rehearsal dinner outfit was my mom's wedding dress that I got made into a 3-piece outfit.
Wow, I
was
love stuff
so
like that.
amazing.
I've always almost cried. Wait, what was she like when she saw you in it?
So I couldn't we have no boundaries. I couldn't keep anything from her, right? So she knew I was doing it. And then I was trying to keep it, like I was actually like out of town. The woman that was working on it with me had to drop it off at like my mom's, and I was like, you can't look at it, like give it to my dad, like make him put it in the closet. So I got that far, and then I think it was even just a week before I had to try it on again to make sure it was like fit and everything worked. And she was just like, knowing you're wearing it, like I can't not look. And she was like, I think it'll still be special to see it before, like we'll be so busy, And so then she like saw it and she was just like, I can't even believe that was my dress.
I love it.
It's like, and what a cool, like we shared that special thing like the whole time. And then at the actual rehearsal dinner, anytime I told somebody, they were like, that is the coolest thing. We went to a bar after, people at the bar that were strangers were coming up to me telling me how much they loved it, not even knowing that it had this
story,
significance,
yeah.
right? And so that's another thing that I'm like, I want a chance to wear that again too.
Mhm.
So like maybe I don't know.
It was so cool and so
Thank you.
unique, and I just love how it all came together.
Yeah, thank you.
We should share a video and stuff like on-
Definitely.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love the like reworking of a dress because
Mhm.
there's a reel that's going viral right now of a young lady who did that, and then she's showing her mom. So the reel is the mom seeing it.
The reaction,
She
yeah.
almost like. She was like losing it, and then
I
I'm
bet.
losing it, and then I'm like, "Why am I invested? I don't even know these
I
people."
don't know, social
I
media.
love it. I love it. I
Mhm.
just love it. Yeah, that would be
Such
cool.
a good trend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unique. So when it comes to like helping couples craft a ceremony that's like super meaningful and personal to them, like where do you start in that process?
So I have a questionnaire, and a lot of people are always like super obsessed when I say I have a questionnaire. Oh, like, I want to see it. I want to see it. I'm like, magic's not really in the questionnaire area. I can create
Right.
a questionnaire for you if you want one. You know what I mean? But I love that we have social media because my favorite thing to do is to find my clients on social media and them,
stalk
a lot of them have
them.
private pages, but when they accept me, I don't take it for granted. And that's when I'm learning who they really are, right? If
Aw.
they share, because some people are just so lock and key. They're
Mhm.
just like, no one will know me unless you want to know me, you know? And I'm also that weird person that just loves to kind of talk to people every day. So social media creates that place where you can send a DM, or I'm very active on social media. So they're all watching me. They're all like, haha, you're so funny. See, this is why I picked you. Like they're getting to know me. There's no like, let's go to dinner and get to know me. Just get to know me every single day leading up to your wedding.
Mhm.
And then they interact and I see what they like, what they laugh at, what they comment on. And I just love this idea of sort of, this sounds weird, stalking each other.
Yeah.
You stalk me. I literally in consultations tell people, I'm like, here's my social media, stalk me.
Mhm.
it's going to open a whole other world when it comes to me. No, I'm not going to tell you how you're going to get to know me. I don't have an answer for that. But you can stalk me here. I'm on here 24/7 pretty much. Some people think I never sleep. And I think that like watching each other without performing for each other is what's going to really give that like, okay, I feel connected to you. Because that's a little bit different than looking at a whole bunch of 5-star reviews. Like 5-star reviews are great if you're into reading them. But like people want to know the thing that you don't intend to tell them.
Yes. Ooh, put that on a tote bag.
You know what I mean? Like stop with all the performance.
Yeah.
Everybody, if you ask everybody in the industry, tell me about your business. This is a bunch of pitch stuff. You know what I mean? Just let me watch you and then decide if you're my vibe.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, I think that's what made my brother-in-law so successful is that like he had his own version of watching my husband and I bloom together. He was there for the whole thing.
He was kind of obsessed with you guys.
I love it. I love it.
It was just so like
You've said that your brother-in-law is like your best
he's
friend
one of my
as
best
well.
friends too.
That's
Yeah.
great.
I mean,
That's
I
great.
cried asking him. It was so special. I mean, his kids were all in the part, like, you know, flower girls, grooms,
Ring bearer.
ring bearer. Thank you. My sister, his wife, was my maid of honor. Like, it was.
Wow.
Yes.
That's the best. No, seriously. I've never
Yeah.
heard of this with the
The whole
entire
family.
family.
Yeah. We're that close. And so to have that be like the people that are not just like, you know, supporting us and saying these nice things, but the people that are ushering us into this new, like, part of our lives, they're like you know, our parents are married, both sides. And so we do have that example.
That's
But
great.
I think like they got married 8 years ago and they've been like the closest like to us example of like watching their love. And it was just extra special to like feel their involvement. I mean, his brother was also his best man. I mean, it was like full sibling everything.
Wow.
And it was just extra special. And I think it's what I love is that you've honed in on that. Because again, not everybody's going to have that, but you've honed in on how important that is. And that's what you are like special saucing, right? That's what you're
Yeah.
putting into every wedding that you intend to do. Because I mean, especially like you might want something like that, but need somebody with a religious affiliation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that kind of will play into it, but knowing that and prioritizing, like feeling like somebody knows you in order to preside over your ceremony, I think it's like great to know that you can make that happen as long as it's an intentional choice.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I have an interesting question for you, I think. What would you say is the ideal length for a wedding ceremony?
Ooh.
Oh, no more than 30 minutes. And when I say 30 minutes, I'm talking about everybody walking in, everybody walking out.
Yeah.
Like 30 minutes means that we went to town. Like that's big. But like 10, 15, I know this sounds crazy because you're like, really? I'm paying you for 10, 15 minutes? I'm like, it's not about the length of time.
No.
First of all, you have to understand your audience. I know this is not necessarily a theater, but it is. Okay, today
Yes,
it is.
it
It's
is
a
a show.
production. I was like, and people are thinking about cocktail hour, and they are expecting your ceremony to be boring. Like, I'm gonna set it up for you. This is the psychology behind this.
Yeah.
I was like, so a wedding ceremony right before a reception is like giving a little infant a shot at the doctors, and we want to make this like they don't even know what's happening to them. We want to make them have so much fun that when it's all over, they're like, I just sat through a wedding ceremony and now it's cocktail. This is awesome.
That's
It's like they get the lollipop.
Exactly. Let them leave on a total high. And it doesn't matter if that takes 5 minutes, 10, or 30. No more than 30. Most venues love me because of that.
I'm sure.
No more than 30. I'm like, but don't put people through pain. They're not going to be happy. They're never going to tell you to your face, but they'll
course.
talk about you behind your back.
Yeah, they'll be
Let's
like-
let them leave here literally obsessed and harassing you. And I was like, I want that for you because I want them to all come up to you and be like, who is that woman? And wow. If my couples don't give me that feedback saying everyone came up to us, said how great we looked, and then they started talking about you. If they don't tell me that that's what was said, I didn't do well. That is for me, my biggest, like, that makes me feel like I did my job.
I think that's amazing to point out and honestly love how candidly you're talking about it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like it is real that the wedding is real, like the ceremony is the more important part on paper.
It's the meaning behind the whole
It's
day.
the meaning.
right?
Yeah,
showed
it's
up
why
for.
we're doing
Exactly.
it. But like the reception is what you're thinking about.
Absolutely.
And what costs the most money.
Yep.
And what costs the most money. Absolutely. And, you know, kind of cutting to the chase a little bit, I
Yeah.
think is part of it. And also knowing, like, I mean, Ryan, actually, my husband said at the start of his speech, like, he was like, you know, mine's not going to be as long as his vows.
Oh.
Mine might not be as long as Sari's, but I am aware that open bar is calling your name. And it's like, that is what people are thinking about,
Yeah.
right? Give the audience what they want.
Yep. Absolutely. Give them what they want. If they're happy, you don't maybe realize this. If they're happy, the time is happier.
That's true.
They participate more. They get up and they dance more.
That's
like,
true. Ooh, that's
make
true.
them happy. If they're happy, this is all going to be great.
Things do hinge on a
Timeline.
well, what I was gonna say is on the participation of the people that you invite.
True.
Like the vibe, everything hinges on how they're feeling, and like they need to feel like they've understood the two of you, so that they feel like they're welcomed into this family, that they know both of you, that they're part of this, that they matter, that they're there. They need to feel like they can let loose if that's the vibe. They need to feel like, you know, because everybody's like wearing something too tight, or like, you know, their hair is like
stuffy.
bobby
Is
pins.
this formal?
Yeah,
Is this casual?
their
Is
feet
this
hurt.
loose?
It's like they're, you know, they're and also the way that nobody knows how, like, what the answers are with weddings in terms of traditions. Nobody really knows how to be a wedding guest. Everybody's
No.
like looking at each other like, what
There's
do we
no
do?
job
Can
description
I
for that.
Yeah.
no.
absolutely, like, can I speak right now? Like, can I walk across the dance floor to go to the bathroom? Like,
Can I
nobody
take photos
knows.
with my iPad during the ceremony?
Yeah, no. The answer is no.
No.
But
bummed.
right, but people, they need to kind of like feel like you're telling them what to do.
Yeah.
Like you're giving them permission to just like be in the space.
Yes.
And I think that it's so funny also that we're pointing this out, because it is like this ceremony. We're still also talking about kind of like get it done, right? Get through it to get to the part. But like that's the actual thing that says you're married. And it's the actual thing that you never quite weigh the weight of, I think, before. I mean, I hope you do, but I don't know that you weigh the weight of it. Well, because there is no weight. It's like you did all the hard work before. You got the certificate, you got the license, right?
License,
You had to like
yes.
get a, you know, whatever your state
Yeah. Tells
uh,
you you have to do.
tells you have to do, right? And like you got to that point, but like you just like say I do. Like it's, and then it's like
And
that's
signatures.
it. Like
Yeah,
someone's signing it and that's it. Like it's not this like magical like fairy dust.
some people are like, I don't even feel different. I'm like, oh, it hasn't hit
well,
me yet. It's not there yet.
Right. I felt that way. People like would immediately, like we just said I do. And
Do you
I was
feel
being
different?
yes, do you feel different? And I was like, no. Like I just can't wait to go eat something.
My go-to joke, which is
But-
so cheesy, I always ask the groom, "Does your hand feel heavier now?"
Well, they might. That's a different
Because
change
like the
for
girl wears
them.
the engagement ring, and then this is the
Yes.
first time most of the guys have worn a ring.
Have a
That's
thing
the
on.
biggest
It's the worst
change for
joke
them.
ever,
It's
but
a
I
little
can't help
dad
it.
joke. But I will say for me, we like probably 2 days later, or maybe even the next day, we went to like the county clerk office or whatever to actually get the official certificate. And walking out of the building, like I can vividly see this, like the sliding doors opening, and I like took a step, and oh my God, I sound so cheesy, but like I was like, I just stepped into the new phase of my life. And like that's when it hit. That's when it felt real. Because that is when it was real. Like it was legally made
Yeah,
real.
legally.
Married, right.
Yeah.
Right. Because if the license doesn't make it back, then
Yeah.
Then
you're not married.
You're just married. You're
Right.
not married.
Which is why I always do a little video recording of me like putting it in the mail or like handing it over. Like I do these videos.
Smart.
And someone was like, you should do this long video of like all the years
Oh,
and years and years and years of
yes.
certificates of you putting it in the mailbox and like or handing it over. And I was like, I should. That might freak me out though. Like I'm just like I like
so
changed
special,
a lot of people's
though.
lives.
I was
with
just gonna
that
say
little
that's like
handover.
you looking at all the lives
Yeah,
you
I
changed.
always say,
That's a great
this is them
marketing
getting
video.
married, and like everyone online celebrates that with
Yeah.
me because it's like I'm gonna record this moment because it's gone.
Are you doing it to like also give them a receipt that like yes I did this?
absolutely.
Because that is smart.
Yeah, absolutely. When
I've-
people are like, did you
proof-
ever mail it back? I'm like, I
Right.
sure did, and I
Proof.
said your name, so it's not
So it's
me
not
giving you.
reused.
Yeah, exactly. I did.
But
I
that's
do.
important. I'm actually so glad you said that because I have a friend who wasn't sure whether or not it made it
Oh,
for a
dear.
while. And, you know, they know now, which is good. But that could be a point of nobody knows. Nobody knows if it actually happened unless you're doing it, which we got to do. We actually just like actively went and brought it.
I love when couples are like, can we just go hand in it? I'm like, yes. Because then it's really done. And I always tell them, even though it's not my marriage certificate, but I want them to be successful. So I'm like, can you take a picture when you have it in
Can you
hand?
prove to me that you sent it in?
I need
Because
the
I'm
receipts.
like, I can breathe better.
Yeah.
Sure.
I can't check you off until I know that that has happened. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Yeah. So
Oh my gosh. How many weddings total have you officiated
Listen,
now? Do you have a count?
I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't have a count anymore. Like once I remember it was like during the pandemic where I lost count because I was still working. Weddings
Did you
were
do
looking.
Zoom weddings?
I did like 1 or 2 of those,
Okay.
but people were still having in-person weddings, but like not lavish, not huge.
Yeah,
I can't even say,
micro.
I can't say lavish. People were actually having more fun because they were like, well, there's not a whole bunch of people to pay for, technically.
Yep.
People were still doing stuff, and some of my most viral or big media moments were during the pandemic. So I was still thriving while people were like, you're supposed to be in the house. You're supposed to be in there. And I'm like, yeah. I decided to leave the house and like blow up the world with my behavior. So, and then that's when I like opened my own like chapel office. And that's when I was like, I'm going to take controls over elopements because sometimes they were at people's homes. And I was like, I don't know if I should be going to people's homes during COVID. Like, it was like all these questions. So I was like taking more ownership over my business and really strategizing and thinking of how I can better serve people. So, what was the question that I was answering?
How many total? Yeah.
I lost that after. I think the last time I ever counted was like 200 something. Like,
wow.
I mean, I had a year that was 100.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like the year that we were truly released from, the pandemic.
Right.
It was just 100. And I remember sitting down with myself and kind of being like, you can't keep living this way. As awesome as that is looking back, actually doing the work for that was humanly like impossible.
I mean, that's like 2 a weekend, basically, like every weekend.
They were all random times and it was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, come on. Come on. You need to change something in your business if you're doing this many. So I wanted to give more of myself to each individual person.
Yeah.
I hated that feeling of going in a direction of feeling watered down. So I was like, less is definitely more because I can do so much more for people or get to know them so much more if I don't have as many of you guys. So I made so many major changes to accommodate that.
It's good that you were able to like honor like your like needs in your life and all of that at that time to make your business fit around what you needed too.
Yeah,
So it's so important, especially with a family and everything. So.
Yeah, you want it to last longer and you want to still be in love with it. It's like, if I'm going to still be in love with you, this is what it's going to need to look like. It's like you feel like you're married to your job. It's a way, but if I'm going to continue to be in love with you, like this is the way it needs to be.
Yeah. And it's a big like honor to be doing this for people.
Absolutely. They could choose anybody, and they're choosing a stranger.
Right.
And paying them. So when you're paying for a wedding, everything feels expensive. I'm sorry. You get to a point where it becomes like this dark hole that you're just literally you're like, when is it going to stop? When is the bleeding going to stop? Right? So I totally understand that feeling of like choosing someone and then like, does it fit with your budget? And like, are we sure we don't have anyone else who could do this thing?
Sure.
And just trying to make it all work.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that, I'm somebody who was really into writing my own vows. My husband felt the same way. And also we had somebody in our life that we felt was like a really great, like personal person to be doing this for us. I think a lot of people do feel like they are less comfortable doing their own vows. And so they look for an officiant to kind of carry the job of letting the whole like reception of people in on the couple and like what they feel and like giving that personal feel without actually reciting their own vows. So I think it is really very cool to be able to like find a need like that. That's people who would need something like this, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, very recently I had a couple who, I mean, they were very wealthy, right? And it was just so funny how they specifically knew why they needed me. I mostly talked to the bride, and she was like, I'm really private and I'm really shy. And a lot of my couples are really private and really shy. And she goes, can we make this like 10 minutes? Mind you, it was like a domestic destination wedding. So they were flying me there, housing me, rental car. I mean, this was an expensive situation. And she was like, let's just do like 10 minutes. I'm like, that is the most expensive 10 minutes of your life. You sure? She was like, yeah. And she was like, and I don't want to say anything because like, I'm just really shy. I don't want to say anything. I was like, well, you have to say I do.
At a bare minimum,
Please?
right?
Like, you have to say I do. And she's like, okay, I can say I do. Like very much like very short and get us out of here. And I just remember posting that wedding online as a reel and people being so obsessed with it. They're like, we want this. This is amazing. La, 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 la. Like people are so obsessed with this. And I'm like, yeah, little do you guys know this woman standing here is extremely shy. There were so many times in her wedding where I feel like she was like, can I just run out of here? Like she's just so shy.
Yeah.
But the most gorgeous woman, like when she walks in a room, everyone's looking at, it's just like a big oxymoron. But a lot of my I know my clientele really well. Like who is my client? And not all my clients, but a large number of them these days are people who are like, we're private and we're shy.
Yeah.
That's why we're hiring you.
Yep.
We need you to carry this whole thing.
So you're like the entertainment as well.
Pretty much. You might as well put me in the entertainment section because that's where the direction is going in right now. Yeah, some people just want to put a trustworthy professional person in the position of carrying it.
Yeah.
And they might love their friends and family. And if they do, I will be glad to have them do a reading or come up and find fun ways to include them. But they don't really quite trust their family members to process paperwork or do all the other responsibilities attached to it that need to get done.
Well, it sounds like you do a great job of making every couple's special day magical.
Thank you.
So this has been such a great conversation. I think we're going to play a quick game if you have a moment.
I love games.
So here on the Bouquet Toss, we help couples decide what to keep and what to toss from their wedding plans. So there's a little paddle underneath your seat
Oh, I'm so excited.
that says keep it or toss it on either side.
Okay.
So
I
I'm
hope I
going to
don't mess up.
read. No, you can't mess up. But I'm going to read some different wedding related things. And
Okay.
you and Sari's going to play along with you. And you're going to hold up your paddle and also say your answer out loud. And if you feel like you need to give context for your answer, you totally can.
Okay.
So first one is printed ceremony programs.
Toss.
Any further info needed? No.
I'm just saying,
just a waste of paper.
it's going to go in the garbage. Maybe they might not even get it. I get you could put it on each. As a pastor, I pastor a church. They have the programs for church. Toss it.
Yeah.
I don't need to see my name in print every Sunday.
Yeah. No,
No.
absolutely not.
No.
Perfect. Okay. Next is traditional wedding vows.
What does that mean?
Like you don't write them yourself. They're just like the generic
Please repeat
script.
after me.
Yeah.
Well, let's keep that.
You keep it?
Yeah, I write really good ones though.
Oh.
It's traditional, but it's it's such a key thing for the shy people, like the introverts.
You're right.
They just can't do it.
Mm.
You're
Like
right.
people look like they're almost going to die sometimes at the altar. They're just like, Rev Roxy, take over. So
That's true.
I have no choice.
They need to be like a ventriloquist.
I
like,
think
where you
keep
move
it,
their
but
mouth.
like I would like for the couples to have input as to what is being said.
So I can give options,
Right.
or I can write something. You could be like, I don't like any of these words, and
Right.
I can try again because it's my job. That's what I'm getting paid for.
Good.
But people can't think sometimes up there, so they're just like, I wrote it on my phone, but my phone's dying, and it's like they don't have it together to be doing any of that.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Okay, next is having a friend or family member officiate.
Keep.
I want to say still keep that, as crazy as that is. First of all, I'm a friend to some people.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
I'm a pretty
Yeah.
good friend, but I'm a friend to some people. And also, some people just need the comfort of like, I really do know this person up there.
Mhm.
It's a really intense moment, the ceremony. So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
I appreciate that you said that actually as a professional because I feel like so many vendors put this message out there to couples sometimes where it's like, if you don't hire a professional, it's not going to go well. You know what I mean? And
I called that the scare tactic. And the other day on
Right.
my Instagram stories, I was like, that's trash. Anyone who leads with scare
Thank
tactics,
you.
I'm sorry.
They're
It
scared
means you're
themselves.
weak. Yeah, you're weak and you don't have any other way to tell people about your work. I don't say trash it because I can't do everybody's wedding. I'm sorry, I'm one person. I can't do
Right.
everybody's wedding. And two, there's there's value in that, right? And maybe that person's just the better fit. But also, at the end of the day, people pick me for a very specific reason. No one just wakes up and spends that kind of money on an officiant for fun and games.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want them to. So for some people, that works. I'm sure I did things at my wedding that people might think are unprofessional, but I loved it.
Yeah.
So
Perfectly
no scare
said.
tactics over here.
Love it. All right. Next up is using AI to write your wedding vows.
I'm tossing it. Okay. I will say I have seen how AI can be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to completely say it's not. This in particular, your vows, is something that like I just feel so strongly about coming from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel as though even seeing a template of wedding vows to figure out how to write your own is not even helpful because there are no rules. Like what at the very basic part of this, what are you vowing to your partner? Write it out. Figure that out. Write it out. I don't think a machine needs to tell you like what other people have done for you to then figure it out. And in other like there's plenty of other reasons that it is helpful to like kind of like start your creative juices flowing, but I just think specifically for your wedding vows, no.
I'm going to say toss it, but here's why. I think that before AI even exists, there was, Etsy, right? And you can actually go on Etsy and buy these templates. And I remember I started to discover them and be like, oh my God, are people doing this? Like, wow, I feel like such an old lady not knowing that these things existed out there. I naturally include for my clients, like if they need help in coaching with their personalized vows, I do that for them. I mean, I've literally, honestly had couples who I didn't officiate for pay me to write their vows. Like I'm nowhere in sight. Vows were produced.
Interesting.
But then I have to go through a real process with them that AI can't go through with you.
Right.
AI isn't really going to get to know you. And you're not going to know what to put into AI to make it work. Right. Could AI be good? It could be. Are most people using it that way?
Right.
Probably not. Some people are writing vows morning of. So you can only imagine what they're doing with AI morning of.
Right.
Exactly.
Yikes. Big yikes. Okay. Next one is including pets in your ceremony.
Fine, keep it.
I say keep it. I'm not a big pet person.
Me neither.
But I mean, I'm always in favor of things that go viral. So like people love that stuff.
People love a cute dog at a wedding.
Have you seen the viral video of the girl who literally used her dog as Bouquet?
As the Bouquet, yes, I have. I knew what
we
you
gotta
were
bring
going
her
to
on the
say.
podcast. You did know.
Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. So it really works for the people, whoever these people are that are giving all of this clout to it. But it's a thing.
It's totally a thing. And it's totally adorable. Okay, next is a unity candle ceremony.
I want to do this. This is what I want to do. Let me tell you why. It's not bad, and it's hugely traditional in Christian ceremonies. However, let's discuss the where. If you are getting married indoors, let's do it, and let's do it right. If you're doing it outdoors, please toss it. Yes, you could get blessed with great weather.
Yeah, the wind is just
but
coming
let's
right through
always
to ruin
assume
it.
that it's going to be a storm.
Yeah.
Let's always assume the worst about outdoor stuff. Outdoor is a huge hit or miss situation.
Yes.
So it's not my go-to. When I hear candle, the minute I hear someone try to tell me about a candle night before the wedding, and I was like, literally, I'm going to throw something.
Oh, no.
I'm going to throw something.
For an outdoor wedding.
Outdoor.
Yeah.
They're like, it's going to be fine. And I literally had to say to them, this probably was mean. I was like, if you go to light it and it doesn't light, I'm going to step back and just stare at you. I will give no support because I want you to remember this moment right now when I told you to toss it and you fought me on it. Okay?
Obsessed. I'm actually obsessed.
Gosh.
I don't even have an
That's
answer. I'm not following
That was
that.
perfect. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what about a phone-free ceremony policy?
As in, you mean unplugged?
Yeah, unplugged
Yeah.
ceremony.
I'm actually tossing it.
I'm tossing it too.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
even gonna
want
lie.
You want the
everybody's-
viral moments, right?
Everybody's like what everybody got. Like I had one friend who got like a boomerang of our
It's the
first
best.
kiss. I
It's
got
the
like
best.
yeah. I want everybody to capture
sorry.
it some way.
I'm sorry. It's like, I get it. I want to respect people, but that's literally the only reason why I'm doing it. Like,
You're like, I want the footage of myself.
Yeah, she needs the
I
content.
want all the people do the job for me. They love me. I love them.
Yeah.
And we're seeing eye to eye. And it's some of the best things you will cherish. You think that it's only going to be your pro stuff, and it's not.
No, just like
So
tell them to
true.
put it on Do Not Disturb. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Right.
It's a show. We're in a show.
If only people actually listened, though, right? Anyway, that's another thing. What about child-free weddings?
Don't make me do this on camera.
Okay. Wait, I can't see your answer.
Toss. But only because. So I had children. I had my sister's 3 children.
Yes.
But that was it. And for us, it was because if we allowed other children, it was going to balloon into a child's party.
Yeah.
And it was a Saturday night formal wedding, not a party for children. We had an open bar. That was like what we were after was people drunk and dancing. Children don't
Not
need
a
to
place
be there.
for kids. Right.
My sister's kids needed to be because they're my little besties and like they had to be. But everything else, no, bye.
So I'm going to say... So we're saying if we like it or not,
Oh,
right?
child-free
You
we're
mean keep.
keeping.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to say child-free, keep it. I like kids, but as a mom, I love my own time as well. And I did a destination in Cancun, not Cancun, anyway, somewhere in Mexico. I can't remember now. And when I went, it was an adult-only resort where the wedding was at. And I was like, okay. But it was so funny. I was at the pool and I was like, why do I feel like this resort is the most peaceful? And people were like, that's because there's no kids. I'm like, oh my God.
Game changer.
How sad is that?
Yeah,
That's
parents
really
need a
sad.
reprieve from their kids.
So I'm sorry, like not tossing it. If you don't want kids, you don't want kids, and people need to figure it out.
Thank you.
And
Done.
give mom and dad a night off, you know? Okay, so last one is live musicians or performers during the ceremony.
Oh yeah, keep.
Oh, yeah, keep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it
Adds
as
to the entertainment
yeah,
value, right?
make it as
that's
like
expensive taste. I love it. I just think live music always gives a one up. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
keep it for sure. Bonus points if
Amazing.
it's somebody that like you know personally.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Amazing.
Amazing. This was so much fun.
This was really fun.
Yes,
guys.
before
Like,
we
too much
go,
fun.
I know, too much fun. Let everybody know where they can find you.
At Married by Rev Roxy on like all the platforms. So I'm most active on Instagram. I'm obsessed. Like my stories are dots. And, talking about random things.
Mhm.
But at Married by Rev Roxy is where you can find me on YouTube. Still working on that. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and I answer all my DMs. So don't ever feel like, oh, she has too many followers for me to DM.
We're gonna
Slide
have
into
to
the
go
DMs.
check
Yeah.
out all those amazing viral wedding videos.
Yes.
So.
definitely.
Thank you so much. This was
Thank
so
you,
much fun.
guys. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Bouquet Toss by the team at thebudgetsavvybride.com.
The Bouquet Toss is part of the Love Stories TV podcast network.
Your support for the show makes it all possible, so please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite streaming platform, and follow Budget Savvy Bride on social media. As always, stay savvy and stay tuned for our next episode.